partners who are like, but the children are dying, please. And you're like, the children are dying, so you start writing about it, not realizing that, the PR company got $40,000. You got nothing, and you're writing for the children. And in the end, it's really the industry person who's getting their message out through your credibility. It's like, that happens all the time. And then there are, I don't know if you saw the FTC has decided to put bloggers on notice in particular, because they have not made transparent their how they're making money, frankly. And I think this probably came out of the parenting blogosphere. That's the politically correct term for the mommy blogosphere. I've learned that recently too, where the extortion was actually occurring. These certain parenting bloggers got such a large following, and people were so ravedly interested in their perceptions of products and whatever, that if they mentioned something, oh, I use this, their followers would literally go out, sort of the Oprah effect in a way. They would go out and buy these things. So let's say GM has a new truck, and this blogger says, you need to give me a truck. And if you don't, I'm going to tell all my followers that GM sucks. And GM is left with, okay, if I expose that that this parenting blogger is basically extorting me for a truck, I look like the bad guy, because this is the innocent parenting mom, with like all of these followers, and oh my god, bad industry, If they don't give her the truck, they're going to say, she is going to say bad things, and they'll lose sales. And Detroit, you can tell me if they want to sell their trucks. Even sales of 100 trucks, that's huge for them, right? Oh my god. And so they end up giving her the truck. And this has been happening. And so the FTC is noticing that, like, okay, advertising has gone underground in a sense, and that these digital influencers are now sort of getting their way, whatever the way is, without making it clear that they're actually, they're getting this huge gift from a company to write this post. And so, just beware of that. It's really insidious and frustrating, and there are lots of ethical landmines, I think, not just in the medical blogosphere, of course, but just in the blogosphere in general.
And where I say that in the medical blogosphere is, supplement industry. And you
Sure.
see, a lot of medical sites or personal charismatic doctor sites sell their own shit.
Yep.
Andrew Weil or whomever, they've got their own supplements, and they're not probably going to say the evidence shows that the supplement may or may not actually improve your health.
Right.
If they're selling it.
That's right. And just in the last 10 years, I've just been dumbfounded as a doctor how influence it's been. It doesn't matter if you're right; it matters if you're influential. Yuck. So like, the Jenny McCarthy's of the world have all of this sway with parents, and have completely made it impossible for us to even give vaccines a lot of times without a 1-hour conversation. And it's just really frustrating. I think that medical bloggers and science bloggers need to band together, because success favors the organized on the internet. And it's not really about if you're right and it's true, it's about how many of you are there saying it. It's like whoever's the loudest wins. I can't imagine a worse strategy for getting good information out there, but it is what it is. We have to recognize it and just get organized and be as loud as we can and just shout those Jenny McCarthy's off the stage. It's not easy. For fun, I thought we would do a name that scam. Just to see, like, what do you think this guy wanted? This might be kind of basic, but it at least triggers your brain to think about what I just said. So this scam comes from Brandon Quesada, who says, hello. My name is Brandon Quesada. I represent the adult dating site sexdatepersonals.com and www.milfdate.com. We took a look at your site, getbetterhealth.com, recently, and we are interested in a link exchange. Our offer is actually quite interesting. And it goes on, and so, yeah, can you believe I get that stuff? I do. It's crazy. It's like, and it's, this is a particularly provocative one, but there are all kinds of similar, emails that I get that are just like, we just read your blog and it's just so relevant to what we do, and it's just like countertopsforyou.com, and I'm just like, what?
And those guys are at least easy to filter out.
Yeah.
It's the other sort of tangentially medically related stuff, like that sounds semi-legitimate and doesn't have the typical stilted wording of a, you know.
You're right.
I wonder sometimes, I get some of those on
Yeah.
the blog that I do, which is mostly legal issues. I wonder sometimes how much can these presumably automated scams, how much content how do they tailor the content so well? Because I get some that say, this is a really interesting post, okay, I know that's the beginning of a scam. And then there are several sentences that seem to respond to what the post
They
actually
will lift
says.
other people's comments a lot of time. One of the most common ones now
Is that
is
what
just,
they're doing?
yeah, they
Right.
just lift comment
And then
number
there's the link
3
at the
and
bottom,
put it
right.
at comment number 42. You're like, geez, that sounds really familiar. It's also flattering.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
it's not just flattery. I'm not that dumb.
Well,
it's
no,
not
but
just
I mean,
flattery, but
it's
is
relevant.
It is
because
relevant
somebody already
content.
said it 2 days ago.
Okay, and then they stick the link at the
Yeah.
bottom to countertops.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Thank you.
really they're clever. Steph, did you?
Yeah, I was gonna, talking about gray fuzzy areas. You get people who aren't linking back to themselves or anything like that, but are coming on and talking about just in comments how this helped them or
Right.
they believe this. And how do you think about, I guess, because you're not gonna have any real answers, dealing with those people in terms of countering what they do, in terms of
I think it's sometimes hard to tell whether they are marketers or whether they're just people, you know, just people who are interested in what help them. It's sometimes hard to tell the difference because sometimes there isn't.
When in doubt, leave it out.
Yeah.
I try to look at the sites that they put in as their, login or whatever, and sometimes I'll bother to go there and see if this looks familiar, but, I mean, sometimes there's a health policy post on my blog and people will be like, this was so helpful to me, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think it was so helpful to your medical condition, it's like.
I'm thinking particularly in terms of balancing that with dissecting what they're saying and talking about, in the pseudoscience areas, and having that fodder to deal with and to tear into. And
The way I generally handle, because a lot of times somebody will say, well, with my Lyme disease, I was really helped by product X, and a lot of times you can tell it's not a marketer. It's somebody. And what I will do is I will actually bracket it and just put proprietary or product redacted. And because I don't think it's going to help, it's information that's necessarily contributing to the conversation just by its name. It's interesting that somebody felt they were helped by something, but I don't want to promote it. And I literally bracket it.
It brings up an interesting point. If, say Age of Autism, for example, or another pseudoscience site, if you link to them and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe how ridiculous this is, let me deconstruct this. If you link to them, you're telling the Google bots that that's a relevant site, so that when someone searches for autism, they're more likely now to see the Age of Autism site because we leveraged our credibility to point to them. The bot doesn't know we pointed to them.
But the
to them to
no-follow
say-
tag usually helps, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure. So just keep that in mind, that sometimes you're inadvertently helping the bad guys by just linking to them and deconstructing them because the bots don't know the difference.
I have a question, and it seems from what you said, it sounds like, are you an MD?
Yes.
The MDs like you would like to counter some of the misinformation, but you're not banded together to do so. It sounds to me like consumers want to get a lot of information and are going to bloggers, etc., MDs online trying to get that. But there's no efficient way to connect the two together to have a bigger impact.
Yeah.
Is that something that I'm hearing as a need?
Yes, there are sites that have tried, that are working on that. I would love them to be a little bit more better organized and sort of channel people. One that comes to mind is medhelp.org, and MedHelp actually, it's a community site. It was a nonprofit for 15 of the last 16 years, and it was started by a mom who couldn't find information about her son's rare disease, and decided to create a website where there were people like her would find her and be able to talk amongst themselves and help each other out. So over